Hello there, folks. Senator Mario, Republican representative, here to explain to you how video games are bad and how mature video games should be taxed. Wait, hang on a second. Let me take a look at the script. Yeah, no, that's not right. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and change my party here. Let me try this again. Hello there, folks. Senator Mario, Democrat representative, here to explain to you how video games are bad and how mature games should be taxed. Wait, hang on. That's not right either. I got it. Independent. All right. Hello there, folks. Senator Mario here, Independent Party representative, here to explain to you why video games are art and should not be taxed by any state or our country as a whole. Another day, another opportunity for me to defend artistic freedom. And if you would like to defend video games with me, just click that subscribe button. Help me along with my way to 1 million subscribers. Sign in, be ready to share this around as we investigate this flawed logic of taxing mature games. You heard right. Taxing mature games. It's called the sin tax. If I wasn't already Senator Mario, then I would become Minister Mario. That's right. I have to wear a different hat today. Video games supersede religion, so there we go. At least in this case. Sorry. You might be asking yourself, what state is that? Is it in California? That's like a real liberal-leaning state, right? Of course, they would tax mature games. They don't understand them. No. Texas, staunch Republican state. Nope. It's Pennsylvania. Yeah, of all the states, this one wants to introduce a levy bill that would permit the taxation of mature-rated video games. Right away, red flags should go up because video games are media. Therefore, mature-rated video games being restricted to 17 plus, all media, mature 17 plus, would then need taxed. And since all media would be considered an art in most cases, music, TV, movies, video games, plays, live concerts, all media, all art forms, all protected by the Constitution in most ways that we perceive that. They all need tax if this levy were to go through. The government will get its money if you let it, so don't give it an inch, it'll take a mile. Representative Christopher B. Quinn was the original one to propose this bill, but it's being reintroduced once again, and originally it stopped in committee, which meant it wasn't being signed into law. But the bill is now back, and let me go ahead and tell you all about this bill. Now, House Bill number 109, which was introduced last month, explains that an additional 10% tax would be collected from the sale of mature video games, which will be put into a new digital protection for the school safety account. Funds raised will be used to improve security measures in schools all across the state of Pennsylvania. Let's go ahead and unpack that, okay? Basically, this bill was reintroduced for the idea that 10% of the taxation will be taken from the sales of mature video games anywhere, not just, you know, within a certain part or within their shipping in. Like if a store sells it anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, they're going to end up being taxed over that. Now, that said, this is supposed to be used for school security. Does that not seem a little bit strange to you? Let's not ask the good senator if he donates personally to school security, nor how much he profits as a senator itself. Let's go ahead and tax the good people of the state of Pennsylvania more when they want to play mature video games. Instead, let's also try to correlate and link mature games with school shootings. What's that? He never said that. No, he did. Yeah, we're back again. Video games encourage violence, and thus by taxing mature video games to increase school security, we can then lower fatalities. Question mark. I mean, I really don't know how else to say that, but that's basically what's being translated here. Quote, over the past few years, acts of violence in schools seem to be occurring more frequently with more intensity. And he said that in September to his fellow House members. Continue on, from Colorado to Connecticut, most recently in Parkland, Florida, students have also experienced unthinkable actions by peers that in a place that should promote learning and enrichment, safety, and protection. One factor that might be contributing to the rise of this intensity of this school violence is the material these kids see and then they act out in video games. You know what? If it sounds insane to you, don't worry, because correlation does not mean causation. Alright? For example, my computer shuts off every 3 minutes, therefore my computer must only be able to be on for 3 minutes. We should make a levy to make all computers be on longer than 3 minutes. However, the cause for my computer shutting down every 3 minutes is because it needs new thermal compound. It just overheats. This is just an example. My computer is perfectly fine because I'm not an idiot. Okay? Makes sense. There are plenty of ways to explain this, but the senator is quite off with this logic. Where does this logic come from, though? That's a good question. A recent National Center for the Health Research article stated that studies have shown that playing violent video games can increase aggressive thoughts and behaviors and feelings in both the short-term and long-term. Violent video games can also desensitize people from aggressive behavior and decrease the possible behaviors such as helping another person and feeling empathy. So the longer individuals are exposed to these things, violent video games, they are more likely to have aggressive behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. Again, let's not forget that the good senator omitted a section of the article notes that there is no clear evidence to support this assumption, and increased aggression results in more acts of lethal violence or criminal behavior. Basically, there's no clear evidence. So do you know why there's no clear evidence? Let me explain. Because video games do not force anyone to do anything. By accepting that video games influence us to the degree of us being unable to control ourselves, we also then have to accept that all media influences us. Okay? I'm not arguing that media does not have a degree of influence somehow in some way, shape, or form. I'm arguing that the mature rating ensures that only higher age teens and adults can acquire these video games to be influenced by. Therefore, these video games are not being obtained by someone who is not a reasonable adult capable of discerning marketing and influence. You ever seen a food commercial? Noticed how perfect those items are shown, and then you go and buy a Big Mac or something and it looks like a sloppy mess because you can look at the commercial and say, hey, you're trying to get me to buy this. It may not be what I think it is. I'm not going to be influenced by this commercial. Yeah, commercials, media attempt to influence us in ways, but we as adults can understand that influence and choose to act on or not act on our emotions and then control them. So if this video game tax were to go through, all media would be taxed for being above the mature level, and they would likely not appreciate this. The biggest of that being Hollywood. You really think the industry collectively would permit the taxation alone? Okay? And then you add in the music industry, the video game industry, writers as well, for books, because of course there are mature rated books out there that they're not mature rated, but they are rated in some way, shape, or form that adults should be reading this, not children. You got yourself a very big problem if all of these industries come together and say, you're not taxing us. But all of this is an exercise in futility because it's all subjectively illegal. I mean, for the most part. I've really got an open and shut case here. Pretty sure any judge is going to see this and dismiss the case. Let me explain. A ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association and Entertainment Software Association, it asserted that video games are entitled to the full protection of the Constitution and that efforts like Pennsylvania's to single out video games based upon their content will then be struck down. Okay? Therefore, this law, if it was signed in, it would then be challenged, and this case and what happened with the case prior to it would be used as an example, and the judge would likely dismiss the case because, you know, previous grounds ruling, so this would not actually become law. That would stay a law. It would be thrown out due to previous court rulings. Now, this was likely a response to February being recognized as Esports Month in Pennsylvania. The PA House adopted it, and, well, here we are. One tax levy being pushed by a very ignorant person. Once again, disgusting, but not surprising. I would greatly appreciate you guys taking the time out to like and share this video, because once again, knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you have, the more powerful you become. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with that power, but, you know, you don't want to be without power. Look, the more people that know about this crazy stuff, the better, especially if they're gamers. Educate yourself and know your rights. We have many laws in place that protect art. Video game is an art form, therefore it is protected. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this court case and the law that is attempting to be signed in about the taxation. Would you vote for a law like this, or do you think it's ridiculous to tax mature games? I'll be reading your comments, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, good gaming, God bless, and I really appreciate you showing up to another episode of News You Missed. Now, I've got to go vote on some other laws being signed in. Hopefully, I'm going to be legalizing a certain something very, very soon.